now, I mean, DTI knowing now the farm gate price of agricultural products like pork and chicken, we have started likewise to issue letters of inquiry to retailers merchandise from. The DTI also enlisted recently the assistance of the market administrators of Metro Manila in informing and educating consumers and wet market retailers on our reasonable farm gate price to retail price, also to ensure that agricultural products are sold within this level. As market administrators, they will become DTI's partners in prices of agricultural commodities in their respective areas. This is also pursuant to Memorandum Circular number 2018-12 during a special meeting of the Metro Manila Council hosted by Chairman Danny Lim that the LGUs are the ones who can really help the national government in monitoring prices, particularly of agricultural products in their respective localities. And following the issuance of Memo Order number 26 by the Office of the President, the DTI and the DA are ready to issue the joint memorandum circular setting a moving suggested retail price for pork and chicken. The idea for this is to set a fixed price markup that can be added on top of the farm gate price of these commodities. This would be the price markup would be inclusive of retailers fee, dressing fee, slaughtering fee, and the trading fees. This joint memorandum circular also sets the roles and responsibilities of the Department of Trade and Industry and the Department of Agriculture, especially in terms of monitoring and enforcement and the filing of and resolution of cases or complaints pertaining to the prices of these agricultural products. On the augmentation of and supply of rice in the market as well as sugar as a means to bring down their prices, the Department of Trade and Industry also made a proposal before the National Food Authority Council on Monday to allow importation of rice by big retailers who have the capability to import as well and who likewise have the capability to sell rice on retail at 38 pesos. For sugar, the Sugar Regulation Administration also agreed to the proposal of Secretary Lopez, where sugar retailers will be allowed to import, selling sugar in the Philippines at 50 pesos per kilo. Importation by end users, those big manufacturers of food products using sugar as their base, will also be allowed to import sugar for their own manufacturing purposes. Currently, the joint memorandum circular is already scheduled for signing between the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Trade and Industry. We have on the importation of rice to be sold at 38 pesos in the market by big retailers and who will import rice. The Department of Trade and Industry has already partnered with the Philippine Consumer Centric Traders Association. This is an association of the big retailers and supermarkets in the country to bring in affordable priced rice and sugar. We intend to bring this in the mainstream supermarkets, which consumers would and where these products will be highly available, accessible to our consumers. Parallel to these efforts, the Department of Trade and Industry had also obtained the cooperation and support of the Metro Manila mayors who will implement the memorandum circular issued by the Department of Interior and Local Government. We also actually requested them to revoke business permits of rice retailers who will refuse to sell well milled and regular milled rice in the market. We also asked them to refuse application or deny application for business permits of rice retailers who do not or who refuse to issue an undertaking that they will comply to this requirement. For the producer to consumer market program of the Department of Trade and Industry, we have implemented this program across all cities and municipalities in Metro Manila, and we have targeted areas, designated areas where we bring this program, and consumers can buy agricultural products at very low prices, reasonable prices, and manufactured food products at suggested retail prices or lower. So these are the measures being undertaken currently by the Department of Trade and Industry. In a few weeks, we will start feeling so that we can also help in bringing the prices down.
Of NFA, please.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. For the National Food Authority, it's stocks, which is usually the imported rice, has started arriving since June. And immediately thereafter, we dispatch our rice stocks in the market through the NFA accredited retailers, through the Tagpuan Rice Response Delivery, wherein the private retailers are visiting depressed areas, relocation centers wherein they sell rice. And we have directly been selling this to the remote areas to reach the marginalized sectors of the country. Likewise, we have increased our market participation. Right now, we're having about 14 to 15% market share in rice. For Metro Manila, mga mahigit 24% tayo. Particularly, we have made bigger market participations in areas affected by Ompong, namely the Ilocos region, the Cagayan Valley, and then Central Luzon. For its percent of our total rice inventory for the last 3 months. And we will continue to release more stocks in compliance with the memorandum of the President dated September 21, 2018, which direct NFA to immediately release its existing rice stocks in the warehouse. More NFA rice outlets will be open to provide greater access to our government's low-priced quality rice at 27 pesos. As mentioned by Yusek Castello here, we have just issued recently the MOA, wherein the Association of Supermarkets would be selling also government rice. Right now, we have initially 4 in Metro Manila, 4 supermarkets selling NFA rice, and we are expecting that others, particularly in outside Metro Manila, would be joining the same. They are already arranging their licenses. In compliance to Administrative Order 13, in simplifying and streamlining the licensing procedures, even earlier than the meeting last Monday, the NFA has its draft amendments to delete other documentary requirements in the licensing. And documents which are already obtained inside NFA will no longer be required in the application for the minimum access volume rice importation program. Also with the NFA programs on registration and licensing information system, a lot of documentary requirements have been deleted in the list. We likewise formed monitoring teams for the surveillance of rice from ports to NFA warehouses and retail outlets. Particularly in this upcoming 750,000 metric tons rice importation, prioritizing warehouse inspection. Composite team composed of NFA, DTI, NBI, NICA, CIDG, and PCC. We're conducting special inspections of grains business establishments. Our field offices, the provincial and regional offices, are submitting inspection reports on the grains business establishments inspected. We likewise have created hotlines for NFA for any reports pertaining to rice and other functions of the NFA. The NFA Task Force Contra Abuso with a number 0927-871-5921 and the text NFA with numbers 0906-4633133 are available for any one of us who have some concerns about the rice industry in the market. We likewise deployed approximately 187 employees of central office as palengke watchers to monitor the activities or the selling of the accredited NFA plates who have withdrawn their rice from the warehouses. So expectedly, with this and the other 1.22 million bags forthcoming as part of the 250,000 just recently bidded, will be continuing to sell more rice in the market, lower price rice, in order to push down the commercial prices. Incidentally, during the meeting of NFA Council last Monday, it has already approved also an addition of 3 pesos per kilogram incentive, palay procurement incentive, so that it would be totaling to 20 pesos and 70 centavos offered by the government to the rice farmers for our local procurement. In so doing, particularly with the harvest season for the main crop has just started, we are optimistic that we'll be buying locally from farmers as part of our buffer stocks. Right now, we have 279 buying stations nationwide open, and our field personnel are continuously campaigning with the LGUs and the farmers organization about the latest development on the price support being offered by the government.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Yusek. MPC questions. Alexis.
Asek Lambino, President Duterte expressed readiness to suspend yung sa fuel excise tax, and he's mentioning something about 2 pesos. Can you clarify this?
I watched the press conference yesterday, and as far as I could tell, I interpreted the statement as being the next increase, no, which is 2 pesos, the 2019 increase in the excise. And actually, there already is a suspension mechanism in place in the train law for that to happen. No? Ang suspension mechanism po na yan ay kung umabot sa $80 or above, yung 3-month average ng, actually, to be precise, it's MOPS, which is the Mean of Platts Singapore Index. Yung official number na tinitingnan natin, at dyan po may subscription ang Department of Energy. So araw-araw po binabantayan po yan ng DOE, but MOPS is very close to Dubai crude. So makikita po natin as a very good indicator kung nasaan ang MOPS, kung bantayan din po natin ang Dubai crude. And we are above $80 already.
So no immediate relief for now for consumers kasi kailangan natin sundin yung provisions na yun eh. At least, di ba?
Which is the point of the presentation earlier. Talagang pinakita po natin sa pag-analyze ng datos that food inflation is the biggest driver of higher prices. Again, no, it's rice, fish, vegetables, and meat. Kaya po nandito ang DTI at ang NFA para ibahagi kung ano yung mga ginagawa para aksyonan yan agad. And so if you look at the food versus non-food analysis. Food is accelerating while non-food is decelerating in terms of the inflation rate. So that's why the Economic Development Cluster prioritized immediate actions to bring down the prices of food by increasing supply.
But what is DOF's position on Senator Drilon's statement that the president can just ask Congress to, allow him to suspend the taxes, then Congress can just issue a joint resolution to suspend it?
We are looking at all advice received regarding this area. We also need to look at all of the factors, the main factors involved in such a decision. So we look to, of course, the cabinet, our principals, and of course, the office of the president for final guidance on this.
So you're still studying. Wala pa kayong position whether open kayo doon sa suggestion na yun.
We need to take guidance from our principals on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Asek.
Thank you, Alexis. Still on excise tax. Mike.
Talking about the previous
Sir.
exercise, 2018.
Asik Lambino again, just a clarification.
Yes.
So what you mean is when the president said that yesterday, it's more of him just expressing readiness to suspend the next round or the yung
I'll
it's
seek,
not necessarily that we may do it even before it averages 80 in 3 months.
I'll seek guidance from my principal on that, as he has the direct line to the president. Although when I watched the press conference and I saw you on TV, all of you, ang sabi ni Presidente, his answer was maybe. That's my, I remember that very
Yes.
well because I was listening very carefully when that question was asked. Now, the president said maybe, and that Secretary Dominguez is studying the issue also very closely.
Yeah, but the question is maybe even before the provision is basically invoked.
That is the clarification we need to seek because there was a 2 pesos
Oo nga eh.
amount mentioned, and the next increase is that the value. No? So he will seek clarification from Secretary Dominguez as to what the conversation between him and the president is regarding this matter.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Joseph, still on excise tax. Oh, sige. Sige, si Joseph muna. After Joseph, si Raymond. Okay.
Related to the question, theoretically, under the law, under the law, you have to wait for 3 months pa, no? Na
That
average.
is what Congress passed, yes.
Okay. Theoretically, can we do away with that requirement and just say, okay, wag na tayo maghintay, umaaray na yung mga taong bayan, we will suspend at least the next round of excise tax?
That would require some sort of legislative action. Perhaps such as has been recommended or maybe other legislative action.
You
Kasi
think we
nasa
need that?
batas po ang excise tax rates.
Uh-huh.
So if we suspend based on the mechanism that is in the train law, then that can be automatic. But if we do something else, it would require different
Yes,
actions.
Do you think we need that now, given what, kahit pa sinabi natin na hindi naman main driver yung oil sa inflation?
What we are able to do is provide technical analysis on the key considerations of such a decision. But the final decision on such matters is a matter for Congress.
Nagkakaroon tayo ng problema dahil yung excise tax yung kailangan na ngayon. So hindi ba parang medyo hilaw yung pagkakapasa ng this provision na ito ng train law? Kasi ngayon, ito, paano natin matatanggal ngayon, masususpend, when in fact, we have to wait for 3 months.
May dalawa po akong gustong ibahagi tungkol dyan. Una, tulad ng na present ko kanina, ang pinakamataas na commodities pagdating sa inflation rate ay food items, hindi po petroleum. Food items, rice, fish, vegetables, and meat. 2.8 percentage points out of 6.7 are from food. Kung ipagsama po natin lahat ng food items in the commodity basket that the PSA tracks, mas malaki po sa kalahat gagawin pagdating sa pagkain. Dahil kung umaaray po ang taong bayan, in this case, talagang literally dahil sa sikmura. Dahil po pagkain po ang pinanggagalingan ng pagtaas ng inflation rate. Which is why the Economic Development Cluster, as early as August, recommended to the President to issue the AO and the memorandum orders that have been issued already. Kaya po, nung araw na lumabas ang inflation numbers nung August, talagang food inflation rin talaga ang nakita natin as the highest driver. So that is what we are addressing. Pagdating naman po sa fuel, again, no, pagdating sa fuel, the suspension mechanism is in the law. That was the version that was passed by Congress. Pangalawa, kailangan din po natin intindihin kung ano ba talaga ang magiging epekto ng potential suspension ng fuel excise, because that is around 25% of the increase in fuel prices. The 75% will be there whether there is strain or not. No? So mataas pa rin po talaga ang inflation natin. Without train, perhaps the inflation rate would have been 6 to 6.3% instead of 6.7%. Mas mababa, pero I don't think most people realize that it's not as low as they expect it to be. No? So I think we also need to manage expectations in that sense, that if Congress decides to create a new suspension mechanism, hindi po bababa ng todo yung presyo ng oil, dahil ang import price po natin ay tumaas from around the high 40s USD per barrel to now above $80 per barrel. And the import price is something, unfortunately, we do not control because we are not an oil producer, at price taker po tayo pagdating sa pandaigdigang merkado.
Pero sir, pag tinatanong yung mga delivery guys from, for example, sa Baguio City, yung mga vegetables, pag tinatanong sila kung bakit sila mataas yung kanilang presyo pagbagsak sa market, sinabi nila dahil mataas kasi ang gasolina, mataas ang diesel. So it boils down again dun sa oil. Pati yung pagluto, okay, granting, mahal yung isda, tapos yung langis, kailangan mo ng langis para pagluto. Pagdating sa market, mahal. Pag delivery, mahal kasi langis pa rin yun. So langis pa rin.
Thank you for the question, kasi mahalaga pong bigyan ng linaw yan. No? Tiningnan po namin ang datos ng PSA. Kinompute po namin ang pass-through ng oil pagdating sa presyo ng mga bilihin. At ang pass-through percentage ay anywhere from a low of 3.4% to around 9%. Sabihin na natin 10%. So if 10% yung oil, 25% of that is excise, plus VAT on excise. So what we're really looking at is, if kung tumaas po ang presyo ng 100 pesos, 250 ang galing po dun sa excise. 2 pesos and 50 centavos. No? 97.50 ay galing po sa ibang factors, at 750 ay galing po sa international import price of oil.
Sir, so do you agree na may pag-abuso, panamantala doon sa part ng mga middlemen, doon sa mga nagbebenta? May pag-abuso or hindi tama yung umiiral na presyuhan ngayon doon sa market kumpara doon sa farm gate?
Mas competence po yan ng DTI, so pasa ko po kay Yusek Ruth. Hindi naman. I just defer to DTI's mandate in this area.
Yung presyo po ng goods naman, agricultural products or manufactured food products, now we see that there is a huge gap between farm gate price and retail price. Kaya nga po yun yung memorandum order number 26, and we have seen that there is a huge discrepancy. Example po, pork, 30 pesos farm gate. Sold in the market at 240, 250, 260. So yung benta nila almost double na, or sometimes more than double the farm gate price. We consulted the poultry raiser, hog livestock raisers and growers. Ang cost of profit lang nila, margin talaga, to include the trader's fee, the slaughtering fee, and the retail fee is 70 pesos. Ang problema, another problem that we see, pagkat bumaba ang presyo ng production, hindi bumababa ang presyo sa market. And we have seen this, that's why um, we have been saying the whole time na LGUs can help sila po kasi yung nasa ground. Another example is chicken. Farm gate price of chicken fluctuates, moves every day, every 3 days at least. Yesterday, farm gate price was at 78 pesos. Today, it's at 75. Kaya, pero ang presyo sa palengke, you'll see it stable at 150, 160. Does not go down. Or if it does, it hardly goes down at maybe 140. In a few public markets pa. Hindi rin lahat. So, yung people taking advantage, we will see either sa trader yan, yung bumibili as bulk and then binibenta sa retail, or the retailers themselves. Kasi nakita na natin yung diferensya, plus 50 pesos naman for chicken, 7 to 8 pesos for the traders, dressing fee of around 26 pesos to include na yung cost of distribution and transport. And then the retail. Talaga, 75 pesos should be 120. We do not see that. That's why we're calling on the local government unit to pass monitor these items. Today po, we received a call from a miller in Bukawi, Bulacan. And he was requesting for data from DTI. Dun sa alam niya kasi nagmo-monitor kami ng presyo ng bigas. Ang kuha daw, di ba? But how much do we see it? 42 included in the joint memorandum circular on SRP for agricultural products is right. 42 pesos for well-milled, 45 pesos for whole grain rice, and then 50 pesos for fancy. Meron ng ganyan. Once it is signed, we're going to implement it strictly. Kasi hindi na, parang we have been clamoring for help from the private sector, pero sila rin hindi natin sila makontrol, mag-take advantage sa current situation natin.
Last point na lang. So, matagal na natin na-obserban to ever since naman yung huge gaps na unacceptable na increase from farm gate to retailing. So matagal na yan, kumbaga hindi na kailangan ng mathematician dyan or expert dyan eh. So, kailan may makakasuhan na trader at hindi puro letter of inquiry?
Ngayon po sir, meron na kaming fina-file. And actually po, we have been saying also, agricultural products are with the Department of Agriculture. Nag-umpisa pong mag-aral ng DTI noong July, August, nakikipag-coordinate kami sa DA, pero ito po, finally, nabubuo na natin. So, we have also started issuing notices of violation. Ang formal charge po niyan will be filed by the Department of Agriculture with DTI's Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau. So, ang kaso po sa amin ilalodge, pero ang complainant to take the cudgels for the consumers ang DA.
Yusek,
Thank you,
total,
sir.
Yusek, total na pag-uusapan na natin yung price sa NFA. May nagpapatanong lang, pwede po ba pakibantayan din yung price ng bigas dito sa bayan ng Naik, Cavite? Dalawa yung price ng NFA.
Ng 32 at isang 25% brokens na binibenta sa palengke ng 27. Mas kokonti po yung kantidad noong 15% brokens. Mas marami yung sa 25%.
So normal lang pala yun, sir. Okay lang.
Pero itong isa na lang ngayon na bidding sa itong dumadating, puro 25% na siya para maiwasan nga yung posibleng confusion na yan.
Okay. Thanks, Sir Jerry. Balik tayo sa excise tax or NFA? Excise, balik tayo sa ano. Sir Joseph, RJ.
So sir, ano lang, for emphasis lang, you said, meron kang sinabi sir na 25%. So if ever, kung assuming Congress acts and does away with the 2019 excise tax, parang magkano yung 25% na mawawala lang? Dos lang siya.
You mean for yung
Kumbaga,
fuel purchases natin sa mga
correct.
gasolinahan?
Yes.
Hindi pa po natin nasama yung 2019. We're talking about 2018 excise at 2 pesos and 65 centavos for gasoline and 250 for diesel. No? With the VAT on the excise, that's less than 3 pesos per liter.
Ibig sabihin sir, kung halimbawa taxi driver, jeepney driver ako,
Mm-mm.
at least meron akong additional na 3 pesos next year.
Per liter.
Oo, ganun ba yan?
Ganito po. Kung jeepney driver po kayo at may legitimate franchise po kayo, meron po kayong pantawid pasada card.
Yes, of
So
course.
for 5,000 pesos or paalala ko lang. Tapos
Yeah,
next year, mas malaki, close to 20,000 yan.
A
But
year.
if you're a taxi driver or a jeepney or any vehicle, no, for that matter, merong 3 pesos na maximum na galing sa excise plus the VAT on excise. So for instance, this year, tumaas po ang gasolina ng mga, let's say, 12 pesos
Okay.
since December,
Okay.
let's say, per liter. So without the excise, it would be around 9 pesos per liter increase instead of 12.
All right.
Next year,
Mm.
instead of increasing the 3 pesos to 5 pesos, kasi may dagdag na 2 pesos per liter na
Okay.
excise, then it would remain at 3 pesos per liter. Does that answer the question?
Yes, sir. So savings pa rin dos lang.
It's a savings, pero pag-isipan rin natin from a broader perspective, just so that we remember that personal income tax reductions, 99% of personal income taxpayers now pay less personal income tax. Remember, in train, that was a package.
Mm-mm.
PIT reduction, estate tax reduction, donors tax reduction, and the revenue enhancing side were fuel excise, sweetened beverage excise, and tobacco excise primarily. Now, sweetened beverage and tobacco for health reasons, fuel excise for environmental reasons and equity reasons because of the lion's share of consumption that higher income households have, no, in terms of fuel. So paalala ko rin po sana kung okay lang na this was a reform package. Now, we were touted as having a very good economic management system ng mga ratings agencies. Kasama po dyan sa consideration nila yung tax reform when they maintained our investment grade status. And in fact, if you look at Moody's, Fitch's, and S&P, yung kanilang mga reports, they are watching if we can continue our further improvements to our economic management by passing further tax reform packages, and that if this happens, sabi nila, this would be worth consideration of an additional upgrade. So, pag-isipan rin po natin the benefits of having investment grade status dahil yung mga utang po ng Pilipinas ay mas mababa ang interest rate. And that redounds to not just this generation, but future generations. Kung ma-credit downgrade po tayo dahil hindi ho tayo maingat sa ating fiscal management, ay that affects not just this generation, but future generations as well. So yun po ang stewardship role ng economic development team. And that's why we care deeply about looking at the various factors affecting these types of decisions.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. RJ, pasensya na. Sorry. Kanina nagtataas ng kamay si Christine. Si Christine muna, okay na. Sorry.
Yuse Castello, the days, we will feel the effect in the next few weeks. So would it be a significant or do you have projections on like how much the price of rice will go down?
As soon as the importation allowed by the NFA Council, remember I mentioned earlier that the Council importation by big retailers of 350,000 metric tons. So as soon as it's here, as soon as we find them in the market at 38 pesos, it's going to send a signal that it's possible to to really bring down the price of rice. Especially, I also mentioned earlier the local miller that sells rice at 1,900 pesos on supposed to be on retail. This is supposed to be found at 39 pesos in the market. But because retailers take advantage of our situation, they sell it at higher cost. But once the 38 peso imported rice comes to Manila, comes to the Philippines, and we find them in the market, prices will go down. Just a clarification also on earlier, should I explain it? The the statement of Secretary Roque on unimpeded importation of rice and vis-a-vis the NFA Council, NFA regulations on to make importation unimpeded and hassle-free and less restriction with less restrictions. But currently, since we have the NFA regulations still in place while waiting for the rice tariffication law, we still follow regulations, although this is now less restrictive and easier for importers to bring in rice. I understand that we also requested the NFA Council, especially for some retailers' applications, for NFA to waive some fees. So it can probably be done by the NFA now going towards rice tariffication pursuant to the President's directive.
Christine, follow up. One more. Okay, RJ, please.
Sir and ma'am, follow up po sa unimpeded importation of rice, which is the order of the president. That also includes, according to Mr. Roque, that NFA no longer has any say on how much rice to be imported. How could that be without an executive order or legislation?
We'll get to that destination as soon as we have the rice tariffication law. At the moment, we're still easing up the restrictions that we have.
So, sir,
As I said before we started the briefing, we are managed by the council, and all the things that will be implementing should be approved by the council, so that there would be really clear guidelines to follow.
okay, sir.
And if I may continue, in fact, ang ating chair ngayon ay si DA Secretary Piñol, who was also with the cabinet during the meeting. So most likely, mai-harmonize itong lahat ng mga decisions na to.
So it's not yet doable for the time being.
We have to submit it to the approval of the council, so that we would have clear guidelines to follow.
Did the president give any timeline for this for the NFA?
So far, I do not know of any. We'll check this further.
So just to clarify, no, the directive na pinag-uusapan po natin ay na-issue nung Monday night. No, we are less than 2 days from that time. So we are, of course, happy that there is the massive streamlining that is underway. But what we want to get to is a tarified regime. And so for that, we should be watching very closely and supporting as much as we can the movement in the Senate of the rice tariffication bill. Nasa period of amendment na po yan sa Senado, which means it's in plenary. Tapos BICAM, pagkatapos masasabatas na po siya.
Okay, RJ, thank you. Follow up doon sa NFA. Ina, please.
to anyone from the panel. Actually, kasi meron pong quote si Secretary Roque yesterday saying that we will not wait for it, referring to the rice tarification bill. So he's also saying na no more need to secure accreditation from the NFA for anyone who would want to import. So right now, ma'am, at this moment, because it would appear if, people were listening yesterday, yung mga gustong mag-import, iisipin na nila na they can do it anytime. So what's the status right now? Do they still need to secure an accreditation from the NFA?
Insofar as NFA is concerned, again, our principal would be the council. Yun yung pinaka-head namin eh. So we'll still clarify this at least with the chairperson of the council. And that's Secretary Piñol.
Sorry, probably no need for accreditation as long as the permit is given by the NFA Council without having to go through the process of accreditation as an importer.
Sorry, ma'am. What permit po yun?
Import permit.
Import.
Import permit given by the NFA Council.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Natin, Alexis, sa rice ka. Alexis. Alexis, tungkol sa rice muna uli. Rose and Joseph. Okay.
Pero kailangan pa rin po natin nung law on rice tarification.
Kailangan po natin yan. And the Economic Development Cluster fully supports the passage of the rice tarification bill.
So for our information lang, ano ba yung magiging pagkakaiba? Kasi right now we are easing the restrictions, we are liberalizing the imports. Why do we need a law?
The law, once passed, will limit yung mga requirements to sanitary and phytosanitary requirements lang po. Na in-issue po yan ng Bureau of Plant Industry, yung BPI natin. Yan po ay ibig sabihin yung mga bigas na iaangkat natin ay walang sakit at walang dalang peste. Yan yung mahalaga rin na manatili. Pangalawa, pagdating po sa import licensing ay dapat wala na. Dapat yun lang po, SPS lang ang requirement. At saka ang vital role po ng NFA ay paiigtingin po natin in emergency buffer stocking.
If I may add also, Administrative Order number 13 dated September 21, 2018 says in Section 2, as a result of a shortfall in production, a critical demand supply gap, or other verified circumstances that may warrant the need for importation, the NFA Council is hereby authorized to approve additional rice importation beyond the MAV commitment specified under EO number 23. So anybody who comes to the NFA Council requesting to be allowed to import rice, we will give it to them directly.
I understand this is more of the DA side, pero anong ginagawa natin to address yung concerns about importation? Baka daw maging disadvantageous sa mga local farmers. Meron pa tayong ganung mga
Kasama
policy?
po sa rice tarification bill yung rice fund. Yan po ay naka-earmark po lahat ng taripa. So we're shifting from an import license regime papunta po sa tarified regime. Ibig sabihin, kahit sino pwede humangkat ng bigas basta babayaran po niya yung karampatang buwis. Yung karampatang buwis na yun, yung taripa, yan po ay naka-earmark para sa ating mga magsasaka. Ang mga magsasaka po natin ay susuportahan pagdating sa mekanisasyon, pagdating sa access to credit, pagdating sa access dun sa mga mas magandang binhi, better quality seeds, better performing seeds, at iba pa pong mga modernong pamamaraan ng pagsasaka. In addition, yung mga magsasaka na gustong mag-shift to higher value crops ay dapat suportahan din po through this fund. Kasi po hindi naman lahat ng lugar ng Pilipinas, although there are areas in 57 provinces identified as being potentially competitive, no? Past tariff in a tarified regime. Kailangan pa rin pong tulungan yung mga sa tingin nila ay gusto nilang mas magandang livelihood, mas mataas na kita by shifting to higher value crops such as vegetables. Pwede ho silang mag-plant ng cocoa, cacao, no? Cacao or coffee or even fruits. No?
Pero ASEC, that's assuming na naipasa na yung law eh. Pero yung ngayon, di ba nililiberalize natin yung imports? Paano yung sa ngayon, yung mga concern nila na baka disadvantageous sa farmers yung imports?
Which makes the passage of the bill even more urgent. No? Kaya nga ho, kailangan mas mabilis pa lalo.
These are measures that we're undertaking now to stabilize prices and to make sure that we have sufficient supply. Once we see these measures can stop already.
Okay. MPC, last two questions on importation. Rice importation din sa'yo, RJ. Rice din. Those importation last, okay. Rose, Joseph, and Badet? RJ. Hindi na si Badet? Wait, okay. Rose.
Good morning po. Ma'am and sir, sorry po kung maging makulit. Pero kung example, isa po kung interesadong mag-import, bago pa lang ako mag-import ng rice, ano yung kailangan kong pagdaanan or hinging permit? Na hindi ko na, yun po.
Yung
Okay.
requirements.
Sa requirements, yun nga, hirap akong magsabi dahil ang maring masabi ko ay yung mga kasalukuyang hinihingi natin. So, ang pag-uusapan natin would be streamlined requirements or wala ng requirements. So, yun yung ipapa-approve muna natin. NFA is now making the draft and that should be approved by the council bago natin ma-discuss publicly.
Pero sir, kasi sinabi ni Secretary Roque kahapon na immediately executory yun pong order na unimpeded rice importation.
Siguro po magiging urgent call din yun para sa amin at para makapag-recommend kami na mapag-usapan dito ng konseho agad dahil nabanggit nga ni Ase kanina na Lunes ng gabi ito pinag-usapan at nagulat din kami noong nagkaroon ng press briefing si Secretary Roque kahapon ng umaga o ng tanghali. Tapos ganun yung instructions and therefore katatapos lang ng meeting ng council nung Lunes ng umaga. So siguro it's another urgent agendum itong bagay na ito para sa council.
Thank you, Rose. Last two on rice importation, Joseph and RJ.
Just a little bit on, I know you're just about to sign.
DTI proposal.
Okay.
In the DTI proposal kasi the one to be imported by retailers
Apo.
should be at 38 pesos.
Okay, so sir, talk to the consumers, no? Yun ba sinabi niyo na 39, 42, 45, 50? Ito yung working SRP natin. Ibig sabihin, ito lang yung dapat natin na makikita ng presyo ng bigas.
Oo, sa palengke.
Okay. Ma'am, hindi kasi ako masyadong namamalengke. Yung regular rice, ano po yun?
Regular milled rice.
Ito yung mga pangalan nila?
Wala na siyang pangalan. Tinatanggal na natin pati yung pangalan ng bigas.
Okay.
The
Wala na po
classification.
yung mga sinandome,
Hindi
mga
na,
jasmine.
alisin na siya. It's just regular milled, well milled, whole grain or special, and then fancy.
Okay. Ma'am, can we go if you have figures, SRPs for, ano ba yung next na driver mo? Chicken?
Pork.
Fish.
Fish, wala akong, although there is an existing DA suggested retail price. But that is as of June, June pa to.
No need to change it? Kasi parang hindi na siya reflective of the market
Hindi na
forces.
siya reflective because red onion here is at 95 pesos. It's currently at 80 pesos. So medyo naiba na rin itong presyo na to. Although regular milled rice is here at 39 pesos. Garlic pareho lang. Onion naiba na yung presyo.
So wala pa tayo
So
na drop na SRPs for vegetables?
Wala pa. But we have, the Department of Agriculture issued SRP for rice. I mean for chicken, sorry. Chicken that says specifically 50 pesos on top of the farm gate price.
Ma'am, explain in plain language.
Okay. We get the farm gate price of chicken from raisers and
Yeah,
growers
correct.
every day. So
And
they
what's the fee? How much is it on average?
at an average of around 70,
Okay,
75
all right,
pesos.
okay,
So today it's at 75 pesos.
okay.
You add 50 pesos to include retailers fee or of around 7 to 8 pesos.
Yung mga
When
50 na yan.
50 pesos. Dressing fee of 26 pesos plus retail fee
Mm-mm.
of 20 pesos. So more or less, ano yan, 50 pesos. Average kasi 45 to 55, but we average it at 50.
So yung chicken, including the 50, should cost 120 lang.
125.
Yung whole.
Oo.
So-
1 kilo.
1
Oo,
kilo.
per kilo
So
siya.
dapat yun po rin yung makikita natin.
Makita natin sa market. Kung mag-move man siya, at the most should be 5 pesos siguro. Because they sell it at 130, that's the maximum that
130 is
consumers should
maximum.
buy.
Okay. Meat po, ma'am.
Meat is right now at 130 pesos per kilo, farm gate price, plus trader, slaughtering fee, and retailing fee of 70 pesos.
So 200.
O 200 pesos per kilo. But for some prime cuts ng pork,
Mm.
they can sell it as much as 220 pesos maximum.
Maximum. Alright, so yun po yung, and if halimbawa yung consumers mo will not see these prices and instead would see medyo exorbitant na 250.
They can call us. DTI na 1384. We have a consumer hotline. We also have this engagement with the market masters. We're going to post it on DTI price bulletins in public markets for everyone to see, so the consumers can directly complain to us or maybe talk to the market master in the area. Kausapin nila bakit iba yung presyo ng tinitinda.
And they have the right to complain, no? Dun sa nagbebenta na baka
That's
mahal.
right. And because we are also directly engaged with the market masters, we'll also have to call their attention kung bakit iba yung presyo ng SRP ng government from the market price.
Alright, very good. Sir, sa NFA, price in the market or not? Because before, ang sinasabi, ang issue is not the number of price or the amount, but the distribution. Okay?
Okay.
So right now, how many metric tons do we have in the market? Or at least market and what you have?
Okay. Sa industry sector, that means commercial, household, and NFA. According to PSA data, we have 1.53 million metric tons.
Okay.
Ibangga natin ito sa daily consumption ako. NFA, we have 128,000 metric tons.
128,000 metric tons.
Yeah. And
NFA.
NFA, yes.
Okay.
So that is 2.56 million bags.
2.56.
At the rate we are, 2.56 million bags.
Okay.
At the rate we are selling, at about 91,000 to 100,000 bags per day, this will be
Depleted.
this will last for 28 days na pagbibenta natin.
Okay.
But there are still stocks at the different ports. Andito na siya sa Pilipinas.
How many?
And that's about 24,500 metric tons.
24,000.
Yeah. 500 metric tons.
500 metric tons.
Okay.
Okay, so sir, I'll try to do a quick math. So in major, trying to 1.53 metric tons we have. So
1.3 million metric tons.
million metric tons plus 24,500. Yes.
No,
Ports. You said.
yeah.
So our total in the market should be 1.53 metric tons plus 24,500. Is that correct?
1,000 lang yun, 24,000. Yeah, tama. Oh.
If you
Okay.
rephrasing my question, if we add the 1.53 metric tons plus 24,500 metric tons, 1.3 million metric tons plus yung una, 1.53
Million.
plus,
Million.
yes,
Okay.
yung 24,000, sir, again?
24,000 metric tons lang siya.
Metric tons. So parang 1.7 lang.
Mas maliit pa po. Mga 1.50, ano lang siya, 55.
Okay. So sir, both combining the two,
Yeah.
that will last for how many days?
24,000. Kasi ang ating daily consumption requirement is 60,000 eh.
Mhm.
So siguro madadagdagan lang siya ng mga 2 araw.
So bali 31 month lang.
Mga 48, mga mag-ano lang siya, mga magsi 50 days lang siya.
But sir, 50 days. Sabi mo sir, 48 plus 2.
Yeah, oo.
Okay.
50 days.
So more than a month lang.
Yes.
So that's how much rice we have now?
Sa industry or sa government stocks?
Yung pong figure na binigay nyo, NFA.
NFA is, ang sa NFA dyan is 128,000.
Mhm.
Part of the 1.53 million metric
That's
tons.
even shorter. Diba? Kasi sir, teka lang
Let
indulge
me go
me.
out on a limb and
Sure.
just share na sa tingin ko yung nabasa ko ang required buffer stock is 15 days. Tama ba?
Yes.
So
that's required.
lagpas to dun sa required buffer stock actually.
So we have enough rice.
Yes.
We have-
Please
Plus
Please
the fact-
make sure people know we have enough rice because
Exactly.
this led to the problem before nung kala nung iba na kulang tapos
Panic tayo.
tapos nagpanic kaya nangyari yon hindi kasi totoo yon from the beginning so please let people know we have enough rice in the
Correct.
Philippines.
If I may add, nasa onset na tayo ng harvest for the main
It's
crop.
harvest season.
Harvest season. Tarlac has tapos na eh. Yung other towns in Nueva Ecija, nag-aani na and there are those na nadaan namin. 1 or 2 weeks time, aanihin na rin.
So why don't we have the order to liberalize imports of rice? If we have enough stocks here, bakit kailangan magpabaha?
Because the price of rice is too high.
Because of the
Tarification actually will reduce the price of rice. Artificially constrains the amount of imports. The production cost in Vietnam and Thailand is 50% our production cost. Kalahati ang presyo ng production cost sa Vietnam at sa Thailand on average. We need to take advantage of the price differential para bumaba ang presyo ng bigas sa Pilipinas. Our estimate is anywhere from 2 to 7 pesos per kilo once we tarify rice. The BSP's estimate is reduced inflation in 2019 by 0.7 percentage points. Tapos, yung taripa na makakolekta, earmarked for improving the livelihoods of our farmers. Kaya tatlo po ang benefit ng rice tarification. Lower price, lower inflation, and resources to support our farmers.
Okay lang, Joseph.
just one last. If the prices of rice are high, where do you attribute again?
Rice.
Yes.
Our quota system. The quota system leads to an artificially high price of rice.
Sorry.
The quota system is requiring licenses to
Okay.
import. Oo. Kasi ang nangyayari,
Mahirap.
nadidictate kung gaano karami lang ang pwedeng i-import.
Alright.
Kaya dahil doon we are not able to benefit from the from a liberalized market where the market will decide efficiently kung gaano karami ba dapat ang imports natin.
So limited supply, high prices. Yes.
Limited import supply of cheap rice is leading to an artificially high price of rice in our retail markets.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. MBC, last 3 questions. Dalawa sa NFA, tsaka importation, and last excise
Just
tax.
these bags.
Yeah, that's 2.5. 2.5. 2.5. No?
2.5.
Oo, yan yung mas updated to. Kasi yung iba, galing sa Wisport, natanggap na natin sa warehouses. Ilipat lang.
This is good for, I remember during the NFA Council meeting last Monday, it's around 57 days. parang 57 days, because while the average daily requirement of the entire country is 32,000 metric tons, equivalent to 640,000 bags, NFA supplies only 10%. So 64,000 bags lang ang lumalabas sa NFA for the daily consumption requirement of the whole country.
Okay. Thank you. RJ, Badet, and last, Alexis. RJ, please.
NFA, sir. Sir, I just would like you to comment on this. Is the DA's goal to achieve 100% rice self-sufficiency by 2020? Given this scenario, given what's happening today, do you think it's still achievable?
I think the question could be best answered by the Department of Agriculture. Although we know that they have been doing their damnedest really to.
But can you comment on that, sir?
The secretary himself has already said that our rice self-sufficiency is about 90 to 93% level, and that's why we really have to take it from on the outside. The remaining 7%, 10 to 7%, 7 to 10% of our requirement.
But we are importing more, right?
Because ito yung gusto kong sabihin kanina, noong nakaraan, the traders have bought palay at higher prices talaga, umabot ng 25, 28 hanggang 30. That's why, that's another reason bakit meron tayong stock sa mga palengke natin, pero mataas pa siya because they bought it at higher price.
So you are confident that by 2020, the DA's goal is going to be achieved?
Let's hope.
Okay.
Actually, if I may share a thought also, from the position of the Economic Development Cluster, of which DA is a member, I think the president and Secretary Piñol, or at least the president for that matter, has stated that self-sufficiency, meaning producing 100% of our requirement, is not the goal anymore. I recall that is something that was stated. In fact, what's important is food security, food and nutrition security, and affordable prices for the Filipino people. That should be the goal. And so, rice self-sufficiency can be actually better understood as an efficient level of production kung ang mix natin ng rice supply ay importation at domestic production. Ang domestic production pa rin ang magiging majority ng ating rice supply. Galing pa rin po yan sa domestic producers. Pero ang ating importation ay siguro lalaki ng konti. Pero hindi naman ma-overwhelm ang production. At the same time, meron din po tayong taripa na susuportahan ang mga gustong, for instance, to shift from rice only to diversified cropping, or from rice to even other high-value crops. Kaya po, ang mga efficiencies na yan ay talagang gusto natin ma-leverage para gumanda ang food and nutrition security sa Pilipinas, to make sure that every Filipino family has access to nutritious and affordable food. Kasama po dyan, syempre, ang bigas.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, RJ. Last two, Badet and Alexis. Mike, please.
Po, ibabalik ko lang po yung order ni President po, sir. In your understanding po, how is this order, Secretary Piñol said that this new order by the President of full liberalization of importation is just a reiteration of the previously issued EO po?
Personal opinion, I think binigyan lang nitong huling order ng Presidente, no? Mas detalye yung mga nabanggit ni Secretary Roque at mas mabilis na dapat maipatupad. Pero magkatono siya. General order, parang general statements yung Administrative Order number 18, nabigyan pa ng mas matinding diin nitong pagkaraang pagpupulong. That's my understanding about the
So do you
instructions.
think this is a reiteration of the previously issued EO po?
I guess magkatono sila eh. Mas maano lang to, mas madetalye lang dito ngayon.
Okay, sir. And what supposedly prompted the recommendation of this full liberalization tayo merong ganitong policy?
Aling
Ay,
ko po yung
yung
sinasabi?
AO po, yung streamlining administrative procedures on importation, the AO number 13 po.
Ito na yun. Oo,
Yes, so
Okay.
is that
AO
not,
13.
yes,
AO
sorry,
13.
sorry.
Oo.
So is that not enough po kaya na-recommend po ito ni Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez po?
You're talking about the rice streamlining or?
The full liberalization of importation.
Well, the full liberalization of importation ay talagang nasa rice tarification. Yan yung yan po ang institutionalization ng polisiya po na yan na fully supportive po tayo dyan. And it's not just recently. This has been priority legislation for many months now. Ngayon, ito pong pag-move toward tarification or virtually tarified ay nakwento naman ho ni Regional Director Imperial kanina na even before Monday's cabinet meeting ay talagang nagsi-streamline na po sila ng financing. So in order to take that next step toward virtually tarified regime before the law is passed and signed, we will take as many steps possible already to move in that direction.
In effect, AO13 is preparatory to rice tarification. Because if you take note of Section 1, removing the non-tariff barriers and streamlining, one provision says to liberalize issuance of permits and accreditation of traders who want to import rice to break the monopoly. So eventually we go to rice tarification, will be a tarified regime. For now, we start liberalizing.
But I think earlier Assistant Secretary Lambina said that the Senate is planning to pass the rice tarification measure within the week po.
Nasa period of amendments na po. So, kung na lang po yan. Once the final amendments are incorporated, boboto na po ang Senado.
So why the need to issue this new order from the President po or have this supplementary details po kung mapapas naman po pala within the week yung rice tarification measure po sa Senate po?
May bycam pa po after the Senate passes it. And then there's gonna have to be a promulgation period, and then before it becomes law of the land. Ang pinanggagalingan po natin, ma'am, ay ang finding from the official PSA data. The number one driver of inflation in September 2018 is rice. 1 percentage point out of the 6.7%. So that's why there is a very strong focus on reducing the price of rice for consumers.
So last na po, when can we expect po yung passage of the rice tarification measure po for signed into law by the President?
We fully support the leadership of Senator Villar as the chair of the Senate Committee on Food and Agriculture. So committed po si Senator Villar to move it forward as quickly as possible. And we're there to offer any support, lalo na po ang NEDA. No, pagdating sa Economic Development Cluster, NEDA is the lead agency in supporting in terms of technical analysis.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Pahabol lang doon sa excise tax, Alexis. Last question.
Asek Lambino, balikan ko lang yung fuel tax. You mentioned yung sa suspend. What will be a revenue impact of suspending the excise tax?
So next increase for 2019, the revenue impact is around 40 billion.
So the government will lose 40 billion pesos. That's a year.
Will not be able to collect 40 billion.
Yun yung foregone revenue.
In 2019 if the next tranche is suspended for the whole year. Yeah.
what will be its impact on the credit rating of the Philippines? Considering that you already said it will have an impact on the next generation, di ba? If we are not careful about our fiscal policies. So what will be the impact of a suspension on the credit rating?
Well, we'll have to see what the credit rating agencies do. What they are telling us right now is, despite so many headwinds, is that the Philippines has a very strong economic ship. That's why they've been maintaining our investment grade credit rating. Ang sabi po nila, maganda po ang pamamalakad ng ating ekonomiya. Ang gusto natin gawin ay ipagpatuloy yon. No, we want to stay the course, which is why whenever there are decisions like this that are on the table, talaga the best possible technical analysis and the best possible input into that decision-making process for the whoever the decision maker is for any given decision.
Will a suspension of the excise tax lead to a credit downgrade?
That does not seem like it would be a factor that would be considered on its own. No? Ang mga credit rating agencies natin ay marami pong tinitingnan na sabay-sabay. So they would look at the full performance of our economic management. Kasama po ang revenue management, ang revenue operations, kasama po ang expenditures natin, absorptive capacity. Ang maganda po kasi sa ating ekonomiya ngayon ay dalawa po ang gusto kong ibahagi. Una, ang capital formation natin ay mataas compared to the past, I believe, 5-6 years. No, or even 7 years. Capital formation is essentially yung mga imports natin para sa mga infrastruktura, makinarya, etc. Things that will improve the productive capacity of our economy. So para ho tayong nag-upgrade ng engine from a 2-liter engine to a 3-liter engine, which means our economy can grow at a faster rate without overheating. Kaya po napakahalaga po niyang capital formation, although it's a very technical term. No? Ibig lang sabihin po niyan, tinataas natin ang horsepower rating ng ating ekonomiya. And so that's one factor. The second factor is okay naman po ang ating revenues. Tumaas din po to the level of some of the best managed economies. No? We have not been at this revenue collection level since FDR. Sa totoo lang. Our expenditures were also doing quite well. And our debt management is also very good relative to the rest of the world. No? Nasa 42% debt to GDP ratio tayo. That's around 10% better than the global average.
So are we saying that if we do good on other aspects like revenue management, hurt our credit rating?
We have to do well overall. So we have to balance everything. Yun ho yung gusto kong ibahagi. It is not based on one thing. Kailangan ho natin balansehin lahat. So ang economic managers natin ay ang may mandato at may responsibilidad para balansehin po lahat ng factors.
So suspension itself will not lead to the downgrade.
Again, it's the balance of factors. It's looking at the way in which the economy is managed from a holistic perspective.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Maraming salamat, MPC, at maraming salamat sa ating mga guests for the weekly economic briefing. Back to main studios of Radyo Pilipinas and PTV4.